Welcome to the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church Network, where we are building faith and transforming lives, where our senior pastor is the Reverend James I. Perkins.
Well, good day, and welcome to Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church Straight Talk. I'm honored and blessed this morning to have with me Mrs. Courtney Wright, who happens to be the principal of Hibriten High School. And Miss Wright and I are just going to join in, just straight talk, just like we would be just met each other at Walmart. So that's the way that we want this conversation to go. And Miss Wright, as I have said, that you are principal of Hibriten High School. And I know there's got to be a passion there. And did you have a choice between Hibriten or West or South or anywhere else, and you chose Hibriten?
That's a good question, Mr. Perkins. So actually, I'm a graduate of West Caldwell High School.
Yeah.
I worked at West Caldwell for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I was fortunate enough to also work as an assistant principal at Hibriten for 3 years.
Yeah.
When the opportunity for the position at Hibriten came open, I did choose to apply for the position.
Yeah.
Being the principal at Hibriten is my dream job.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love working with students. I love working with teachers. And I believe that if students and teachers are a part of Hibriten High School, that we can improve the quality of their lives. And if you come to Hibriten High School, you leave a better person.
Mm-hmm. You know, I like that concept. Students and teachers, when they can come together and communicate, it not only make a good high school or a good student, but it makes them a good citizen. They will learn from their high school experiences from committed and dedicated teachers to carry that back out into their community and as their churches as well. So I think that right there plays a big part, not just only in the schools, but in the community as well. And as you look around, I don't know, how long have you been there?
This is my first year.
Oh, okay.
2020, 2021 was my first year as the principal at Hibriten. Prior to that, I was the principal at Granite Falls Middle School.
Okay.
And before that, Sawmills Elementary School.
Okay. The reason I asked, I was going to say, have you run in contact with any of your students from your previous schools, or they graduated, or they've moved up or moved to another grade, and they say, Miss Wright, Miss Wright?
Well, actually, I am now at the age where some of the teachers that were...
Watch it now.
But I am actually at the point where teachers that we hire were students of mine. So when you see that your students have graduated from high school and they're, productive members of the community, great citizens, professionals in our community, that's something that, makes this worthwhile. I guess it's one of the rewards of this job.
Absolutely. That is good to know. Well, being the principal, how much of a one-on-one are you with the students? Do you ever have that opportunity to talk to them, or one-on-one, whether it's a disciplinary setting or whether it's just a comfortable conversation with somebody in the hall, or maybe not always in your office?
I like that question. One of the reasons I chose Hibriten to apply for a position there is because of the size. We have about 827 students. Mm-hmm. As a principal, it's important to me that I know my students and I know their families. And so if I am at Walmart and I see a student, I need to know that they're one of my students, because I feel, and I like living in the community in which I work. Mm-hmm. I want to be immersed in the community and help improve the community as best I can. Yeah. So one-on-one every day. You will see me at Hibriten High School. I stand at the very front of the school building, and I do that for 2 reasons every day. I do that, one, because I think it's important that students are greeted with a smiling face. Yeah. I know masks kind of hid that for the past year, but I love to greet the students, make sure that I know their names. Yeah. But I do that so I can build that one-on-one relationship with each student, but also for the safety of the school. I like to be out front. I like to know who's coming on campus and what their business is and what they're doing.
Yeah, that's good. And you're not being nosy. You just, hey, look, I'm responsible for this.
Exactly. Well, the taxpayers of Caldwell County and North Carolina pay me to make sure that their children are safe and that they learn. and I take that very seriously.
Yeah. You know, Ms. Wright, many moons ago when I was in school, in this actual community, we had the school was right next door. Actually, the church joined the school. But make a long story short, all the teachers lived in the community. And sometimes during that month, they would walk to the students' houses and have a one-on-one with the students and the conversation with their parents. And, you know, we lived in a little road there, and you could look out, you could see teachers coming in. I used to run, I'd see Miss Dooley, I'd see her come, and I'd run. Mama had a table just set aside for us to do our homework. I'd run and I'd jump at that table like I've been there the whole time.
Doing your homework?
Yeah.
So you wanted to give a good impression to the teacher?
And she knew, my name is actually James. She'd say, James, now, I know you have not been sitting at that table the whole afternoon. And I'd have to look up, no ma'am, Miss Dooley, I have not. But
we still do home visits.
Oh, do you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I did not do that.
We do home visits. Also, if
Oh, do you?
yes, sir.
Oh, I did not do that.
We do home visits. Also, if students are sick or they have a death in the family, sometimes we go out to the home for that or visit with them in the hospital. But
Yeah.
if we have students that we're concerned about, sometimes we have parents who have difficulty getting their children up out of the bed and getting them to school in the mornings.
Yeah.
We'll go out and work with the families and try to help get the students to school, or go out, just meet with the families and try to help them figure out like how we can help the students be more successful in school and in life, because they may need some services that are outside the school that we also try to help with. Some of the other ways that I like to do one-on-one interactions is really just being visible in the school, like in the cafeteria during lunches, in the hallways during class changes, and being in the classrooms every single day. We are required by law to do a certain number of actual long observations for 45 minutes and those types of things. But I think it's important for administrators to be in the classroom every single day, even if it's for a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, because you get a better indication of what's going on in the classroom from that. And when I do that, I'm able to see the kids and able to see them in elements that you might not always see them in. Like I get to hear in chorus, like I may come in and a kid's singing a solo, and I get to see a talent that I didn't know before. But also like visiting things that they're doing, like athletic events. I love sports. That's one of the reasons Hibriten was so important to me when I was looking for a principalship at the high school level, is because I love athletics and I love to go to games and I love to watch kids participate in sports, because I think it teaches them lessons beyond like the fundamentals of the game.
It does. You know, and I know that afterwards that a teacher or principal or school personnel, their day continues, but to have it start out outside maybe of the school at someone's home, or you standing outside greeting the buses as they come in, and your job, your time does not begin at when that bell rings. Looks like that your time starts earlier than before the bell rings.
A little bit.
Yeah, you are outside greeting the buses and greeting the kids and making them, I guess. I know they're not always in smiling faces when they get off of that bus.
Now, see, I greet the front of the building. I do the car riders.
Oh, okay.
In the mornings, and the drivers.
Okay.
So we have Mr. Hart. He's one of our assistant principals. He greets them at the back. That's where the buses drop off.
Okay. Now, when my grandson was in school, he loved to ride the buses. I wanted to, my wife carried him and I picked him up, but he didn't like that. And I don't know if it's because of his buddies or what, but that bus ride just done something for him. He'd wake up and, I'm gonna be late for the bus, He loved to ride that bus. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just him and his buddies, that was their time to clown, I guess. I don't know, but they enjoyed it.
We have about 40% of our students that ride the bus.
Oh, well, that's good.
And 60% are drivers and car riders.
Yeah. Well, as I often said, the pink elephant in the room, the COVID. And I know that you guys had to make some immediate changes in your school activities and in your daily curriculum. How did that go, Miss Wright? How did you just move from regular school, seeing that COVID had affected our society, our community, our schools, to move in an area where you had to address the COVID, or you had to teach, or you had to lead according to the dictation of the COVID? How did you do that, or was it difficult, or?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it was difficult. The most difficult thing is at Hibriten, we did have two students who lost parents to COVID. And we had several other family members that were affected by it.
Yeah.
And when you're in a community that's close knit, and we call it the Panther family, when you're in the Panther
Right.
family,
Yeah.
and you see people, that are hurting, I would say that was the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
As far as dealing with COVID, my main priority is making sure that the kids were safe.
Right.
So we made sure that we did all of the cleaning, like the spraying down.
Right. Yeah.
We did that every single day.
Yeah.
So we had like an ionized sprayer that when you spray it, it clings to all surfaces, even underneath.
Oh,
We did that every single day. And we tried to make sure that we put reminders and we set the kids up for success.
Yeah.
So we kind of directed them and prescribed for them how to move through the hallways.
Right.
We showed them where to sit in the desk, where normally you would come in and kids could probably pick their seat. We had to prescribe where they had to sit.
Yeah.
So just knowing the guidance and keeping updated with our school nurse and our student support services on
Yeah.
what's going on. The main thing is making sure that we kept our kids safe, and keeping them engaged in learning was difficult because we saw a decline in our attendance. So prior to COVID, our attendance rate was between 94 and 95%. And last year it was 89%. And that doesn't even count the kids who were on quarantine, because they were considered remote learning at that time.
Yeah.
And they're considered present for school. So you think 5% is not that big of a deal, but that's 40
It is.
more kids per day
Yeah.
that are absent.
Yeah.
So making sure kids come to school and that they're engaged in learning was the biggest challenge that we faced. And some of the home visits, we did home visits to try to help keep kids
Yeah.
engaged. We did one-on-one meetings with students and really just tried to help them be successful in
Yeah.
whatever they needed at the time.
Right.
Because sometimes the kids were dealing with things that were a priority to them, and their education wasn't the priority. So helping them navigate those things so that education could then become their priority.
Yeah. And I know that you are very appreciative of all the help that you get in your student support staff, or the nurses, or whoever is there to help guide you and just maneuver through this thing. I know that it took a lot of people to do that.
Absolutely. Well, the teachers were the first line of defense as far as working with kids, reaching out to families, really trying to keep them engaged. But then, yes, our student support services, we have a school nurse, school social worker, 3 counselors. We also have our communities and school staff.
Yeah.
And they have worked really hard to help keep our kids engaged in school.
Well, that's good. Now, are the students back now full time?
So at the end of the year, they were back full time 4 days a week.
Yeah, in the week. Yeah.
Yes.
So, how was the population after you opened back up? Was it the same? Well, maybe not the same as before you had to schedule your days, but did you lose any children along the pathway of coming back into school?
We had just a couple of families that had concerns about coming back full time, and we did try to talk to them, make sure they made the best choice for their families based on our protocols, making sure they have a good information to make a decision.
Right. Yeah.
But we did have a couple, so we were able to work with families to make sure whether they were on Caldwell Connect, which was online, or if they were in person, that they felt comfortable with their decision and where they were. So we did try to do that. Now, we saw a change in the students from the beginning of the year, where they only came 2 days a week, to the end of the year when they came 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, I felt like it was somewhat of a social regression, because the kids were quiet. They didn't talk a lot in the classrooms. There wasn't a lot of interaction. And even in the halls, when the bells would ring, it would be completely silent. And I ended up going to our band director and I was like, can you get the drum line out here during class changes? Because it's quiet, it's silent, and we need some music and we need some liveliness in the building. And so as we progressed through the year, even when we were still 2 days a week, they started talking more, interacting with each other more, engaging more. But then when we came back 4 days a week, we got to the point, and this is sad to say, but when I started seeing the kids like joking around with each other and almost like horse playing in the courtyard at lunchtime, I was like, yay. You know, I'm starting to see some more behavior that I'm used to. And at least the kids are, you know, interacting with each other and having fun. So that progression was very positive. I loved seeing their personalities again and feeling like the school is, a teacher even said to me one time, it feels like the school's alive again.
Yeah. And that makes a big difference. You know, you don't want to see them just stand up. Maybe they were just a little reluctant or just a little, I don't know, fearful of maybe the COVID, or they didn't know how each other was going to accept them. And sometimes it's just like that. But graduation.
Yes.
I know that was a major. What did you do creative in graduation? Or was anything creative? Or it was just like graduation as usual?
It was a lot like it's been in the past, but as far as I know, Hibriten has never had an outdoor graduation.
Okay.
And we did go with outdoor because of the restrictions at the time of planning.
Right.
We wanted to offer families the largest opportunity to come watch their student graduate.
Yeah.
I mean, 13 years in school, that's a commitment from a kid, it's a commitment from a family, and it's just really, and I'll get cold chills talking about it, it's just really a special time for families, and so we wanted them to be able to be there and experience it. So we decided for the first time to do an outdoor graduation.
Oh my!
So those of you that were there, it was very hot because it was at 3 o'clock. It was almost 90 degrees, and it was extremely hot.
How long did it last?
It only lasted 1 hour.
Okay.
So we did try to prioritize that we want to highlight the graduates during the graduation ceremony. We incorporated, I would call it kind of a service, if you will, for graduation, because we really tried to incorporate some music that would be inspirational to the graduates and those that were coming to watch. And we had some students who spoke with messages for everyone that was there, and we wanted to recognize the graduates. So those were our priorities for graduation. It was outdoors. We did spend some money to get a stage to make it a really nice, a formal ceremony for everyone involved.
Well, that's good, and I'm sure they appreciate it. I'm like you. They spent 13 years of their lives, and you hear it's in some schools where they couldn't graduate, or they couldn't have prom, or they couldn't this. I could see the sadness in their hearts and in their eyes. The principal or the school personnel had to take them, well, we can't do that. That had to be a big setback to kids. You know.
And I would also say Mr. David Colwell, who is the principal at Hibriten, before me, I think he was there for 8 years. He did something, and I worked for him as an assistant principal. And every year he wrote a letter to the graduates. And when I left Hibriten and became a principal, when I was at Sawmills Elementary, my 5th grade graduation, I always wrote them a letter and I would read it. I followed in his footsteps and his tradition. And then at Granite Falls Middle School, I did the same thing with our 8th graders. I wrote them a letter. And so at Hibriten, that is one thing that is, we have 2 major traditions. Is one that I write a letter to them. And for high school, I wasn't able to read it. For emotional reasons, I was tearing up and not really able to do it. So I had a student that read it for me, but I wrote them a letter that they get with their diploma.
Oh, that's nice.
And the other tradition we have is we take a selfie with the speakers, and I take a selfie, and in the background you see all the graduates and all the people that are there at the graduation ceremony.
That's great.
So we love that.
I saw, and I can't remember where the school was at, but the principal sang a song.
Oh no, that's never going to happen, Mr. Perkins. It's not happening.
Sang a song to the graduates. I can't remember where that was at. And I thought about that. Maybe we need to make that a tradition.
Oh no, listen. I have no musical ability whatsoever. I was in band in middle school, and I was last chair for 2 years. Like, I was no good.
No. My wife tells me that I'm tone deaf. You know, I tell God. But one more question.
Okay.
And I know that there were some students that may have struggled. They struggled ordinarily through a school year, but because of COVID, they may have had some really major setbacks. Are you planning a summer program? Or you already in a summer program? Or how are you going to handle that?
So we are actually in a summer program from June 2nd to July 2nd
Okay.
for students who needed certain subjects. We offer
Right.
them, and they can make up those credits so they can regain or recover that credit that they did not pass
Okay.
for those classes. And that will end in July. That's on July the 2nd. We have 58 students at Hibriten that are participating in that. And I am so proud of our students and our staff that are participating because they have done a great job showing up. The lessons have been very innovative, hands-on, fun for the kids. The kids have participated and they've done a great job. Now, besides that, we have another program for credit recovery, which is also in person, but it's an online-based program that we use where students can work through the class that they failed online. And so that is another option, and we run that all summer until August.
Yeah.
So we have two different options for students who want to recover credits that they were not
That's
able to
good.
gain due to the impacts of COVID.
That's good. You know, I can sense that the schools are doing everything that they can do to make sure that a student graduates. I can sense that. I've talked to several principals and superintendents, and I understand that. I can see that. And it makes me remember when I was in seminary, the first day, I think, the pastor or the president got us all in the assembly hall. And the very thing that he said, I'll never forget this. He said, everybody in this room will graduate. We are not here to leave anybody back. If you want to graduate, you can graduate. And he says, now, if you come here looking for a piece of paper to hang on your wall, this is what he said. He said, I'd appreciate it if you just get up and leave now, because that's all you want. And then we're not here just to give you a piece of paper. We're here. We can't teach you. We can't do what the Spirit does, but we can teach you how to. And I've sensed that through talking with Dr. Phipps. I've sensed that talking to other teachers, and I sense that for you. Students are our main priority.
Absolutely. And also keeping the integrity of the high school diploma.
Yeah.
You know, that students have to keeping those expectations high,
Yeah.
that they have to achieve to get that. And we expect
Absolutely.
that all students, we know that all students can learn and that all students can graduate from high school.
Absolutely.
And, not compromising the integrity of the diploma, but also realizing that not only do they need a high school diploma, they need other skills that are going to help
Absolutely.
them be able to be productive members of our community.
Yeah.
And one of the things I would love to see is we have a lot of students from Caldwell County who are doing great things, and a lot of them go to college or they go off for work and they don't come back to Caldwell County
Yeah,
always.
that's
And that is
always-
something that I would love. I do see lots of my graduates who are great members of our community,
Yeah.
but I would love to see more of my
More.
students
Yeah.
here in the community
Yeah.
and coming back here.
We have battled that from a city council standpoint and from the city of Lenore, trying to retain our people, our young folks in the city, and we're trying to create more employment, more opportunities, make it a social life, a social time. And it's kind of difficult sometimes because as people change, their desires to do different things change, and we just gotta keep up with it. Ms. Wright, we could continue on and keep on, and I know that you think that you're filling in for Mr. Styron. That's going to be between you and him. I'm going to let you deal with him on that, but he will have his time at that seat where you're at. But I just wanted to tell you again, thank you so very much.
Yes,
And
sir.
thank you for just being here with us. And as I've said to anybody, Mount Pilgrim or Reverend Perkins, it doesn't have to be Reverend Perkins. It could be Ike. If Ike can do anything for Hibriten, you just let me know. And I want to tell you guys that Hibriten is in the best hands of anybody that I can know of just in these last few minutes. I've sensed that. So
I'm gonna pay him later for saying that. Just joking. Just joking.
you guys are in a good hand, but thank you again so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us. Unfortunately, our time is up, and that's the only part I hate about this podcast, when you have to say, our time is up, and my son here usually doing these
Oh,
hand
he's giving us
signs.
the signal. It's time to stop.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, thank you so very much. Do you have
Sir.
any last words?
No, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to talk with you and reach out to our community. I think when families in the community knows what's going on in the school, all that it can do is help our students be successful.
Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for tuning into another exciting segment of Straight Talk, where we get straight to the questions and answers that you would like to ask some of the leading people in Caldwell County. We look forward to bringing you podcasts that make an impact in our communities. So tune in every Thursday at 7 o'clock, where we will bring you Straight Talk. We want to keep you informed on activities that are going on within our communities. Be blessed. We will see you next week.